In this lecture, we are going to study next point in our chapter, that is vector algebra and analysis, which is rectangular components of a given vector. Okay, suppose we have two-dimensional vector. Okay, in a plane we have two-dimensional vector. Suppose I show that vector over here, and we have to find out rectangular component of this vector in two dimension. So how can we find? We choose our origin at the starting point of this vector. Okay, take horizontal axis as x-axis, vertical axis as y-axis. Okay, and now suppose this is vector A, and the component which lies along horizontal direction is x component, and component which lie along vertical direction is y component of that vector. Okay, so these are the two rectangular component of this vector. Suppose this is making angle theta with horizontal direction, which is x-axis. Then how can we show this? Then vector A can be written as vector ax plus vector ay. So vector A is nothing but vector addition of these two components of vectors ax and ay. Okay. So in next section we are going to study laws of vector addition. So here again this horizontal component ax, we can write that component ax in terms of unit vector as magnitude of this ax vector multiplied by I cap plus ay, which is magnitude of this vector, into j cap. Okay, so ax I cap is nothing but vector ax. I cap is unit vector along x axis, this is unit vector along y axis. So in this way you can represent any vector by its rectangular components. Now the angle and magnitude. So magnitude of vector A is nothing but length of vector A. Okay. So this length we know by Pythagorean theorem. We can write this is ax square plus ay square and square root of this. Okay. So this is the magnitude of this vector. And for finding inclination, if we take tan of theta, then we know that this is opposite side divided by adjacent side, which means ay upon ax. Okay, so in this way we can show any vector two dimensionally. Suppose if that vector does not lie in a plane. Okay, if that vector is like this, which means we have to take three axes for representing given vector. Okay, so how can we show such vector in three dimension? So in a three dimension, how can we represent rectangular component? Again, that vector A have now three components, which is ax, ay and az. Okay, again ax component can be written as ax I cap, y component can be written as ay j cap, and z component can be written as az k cap. Okay, magnitude of this vector, which is length of this vector, is nothing but square root of ax square, ay square and az square. Okay, again inclination may be different for different axes. Okay, so how can we show diagrammatically that vector? Suppose this is x-axis, y-axis and z-axis. Suppose our vector is like this. Now this vector is like this, z-axis is like this, and we have to take component. So take projection of that vector along x-axis. Okay, that is over here. This is x component, this is y component. Now take projection of this vector in the xz plane. Okay, So here we can show that like this. So vector az is like this. Okay. So in this way we can show x component, y component and z component. Okay, by taking projection of that vector along which axis we have to take that rectangular components. Okay, now in physics we oftenly encounter with such vectors which are two dimensional and three dimensional, and we have to resolve these vectors into its component. So this is nothing but resolution of that vector. Okay, because for using vectors or dealing with vectors, when we write vector equations we have to equate component, x component to x component, y component to y component. Okay, so here we must resolve these vectors into x and y component. Okay, now moving to next point, which is addition and subtraction of a vectors. First of all, we are going to study addition of vectors, and after this point we will study subtraction of vectors. So for adding two vectors, okay, two or more than two vectors, we must use laws of vector addition. Okay, so what are those laws? I'm sure that you already studied those laws. First law is triangle law of vector addition. Okay, second one is parallelogram law, and third one is polygon law. If we have two vectors and we want to add these two vectors, then we can use these two laws. Okay, and if we have vectors more than two, 3, 4, 5, then we must use polygon law of vector addition. Okay, so first of all we are going to study how triangle law of vector addition work. For that, suppose we have two vectors. First one vector, vector a is like this, and we have another vector, vector b is like this. Okay, one vector is here and another vector is over here. So we know that this is starting point, ending point, this is arrowhead. Okay, initial and final point of this vector, starting and end point of this vector. Now how can we add these two vectors? Okay, so for that, keep one vector as it is. Suppose I keep vector a as it is, you can keep vector b as it is also. Take another vector b and project that vector over here. Over here means we have to take this vector and keep that vector over here. So take this vector like this and keep that vector over here. So if we take that vector over here, then vector b is projected like this. Now remember, these two vectors are equal vectors. Both have same direction and same magnitude. Okay, so put another vector like this. Then starting point of first vector and ending point of another vector join this, we get vector a plus b. Okay, so this will be the resultant vector. Now if you want to keep this vector as it is, okay, and take vector a here and you want to add these two vectors, so how it will work? Suppose I keep vector b as it is and I take vector a and put over here. Sorry, this is vector a. then starting point of this, end point of this, if I join these two, so that becomes vector b plus vector a. Now remember, vector a plus b and vector b plus a both have same magnitude as well as same direction. Okay, so we know that for vector addition, vector a plus b is nothing but vector b plus a. Okay, also for vector addition follows associative property, which means if we have three vectors, if vector a plus vector b plus c, which is nothing but vector a plus b plus vector c. Okay, so here if we take vector addition of second and third vector, which is same as if we take vector addition of first and second vector to third vector. Okay, now next, in this way we can use triangle law of vector addition. Okay, now next, parallelogram law of vector addition. How can we use parallelogram law of vector addition? Again, if we have two vectors, vector a and b. Okay, suppose this is vector a, and again our vector b is like this, and we have to add these two vectors by using parallelogram law of vector addition. So how can we use? Take again another vector and that, put that vector over here. Similarly, you can take this vector and put it over here. Okay. So if I take vector b over here, which is equal vector to vector b, same magnitude, same direction. Now we have to form parallelogram. Parallelogram must be formed which have sides same as vector a and vector b. How can we form? Take parallel vector to vector a which is identical. Okay, again if I take vector b parallel to vector a, this will be like this. Okay, and vector a will be like this. Okay, so again these are two equal vectors, same magnitude, same direction, same magnitude, same direction. Here we can see shape of parallelogram is formed. So take diagonal of that parallelogram from starting point of first vector to ending point of another vector. So this is resultant of vector a and b. So here we can see parallelogram is formed, and diagonal of that parallelogram shows resultant vector, which is vector addition of these two vectors. Okay, so in this way we can use parallelogram law of vector addition. Now next, polygon law of vector addition. So how can we use polygon law of vector addition? Suppose again, if you have more than two vectors, okay, suppose this is vector a, this is vector b, and now suppose this is vector c, and we have to add these three vectors using polygon law of vector addition. So again, take this vector b and keep it over here. So this is vector b. Now take vector c, okay, and keep over here. So again, vector c. Remember, these are the identical vectors. Now this is the starting point, this is the ending point. So join these vectors. So this is nothing but vector a plus b plus vector c. Okay, so in this way we can use polygon law. If we have another vector which is vector d, okay, which is like this, so for using polygon law, take vector d and project over here. Now this is vector a plus b plus c plus vector d. Okay, so here you can see shape of polygon which is formed. Here this polygon have 5 sides, so this is pentagon. Okay, this is in square shape. Okay, so in this way, depending on how much vector we have, we maybe have a pentagon, hexagon. Okay, the shapes of this. Now we are using vector law of addition very commonly. How can we use? Suppose we are over here and we walk from here to here. Okay, suppose from that we walk from here to here, again from here to here. So to find our final position, what will be our final position? We have to join this initial point and final point. So in this way, we can know we are how much far away and in what direction from our starting position. Okay. So in this way, vector law of uh, vector addition laws can be used for navigational purposes. Okay. In deep seas, there is no such direction. We can have only compass. So for finding direction of the ship, in which direction we are moving. Okay, so what they do, they mark their initial position, final position, and they draw vector. Okay, from that they again take direction in which direction they are moving, again they can draw vector. Okay, so this is very commonly used in navigation purposes. And for adding two vectors, okay, suppose one force is like this and another force is like this, and both forces have same magnitude and same direction. Okay, so we know that their vector addition is 0. Okay, because their magnitude is opposite. Sorry, magnitude is same but direction is opposite. So law of vector addition are very useful in physics. Okay, for adding vector quantities. Now next we have to study how we subtract two vectors. For subtraction of vectors is nothing but addition of vector. Okay, how? Suppose this is vector A and this is vector B, and we have to subtract these two vectors. We have to take vector A minus vector B. So we know that if we project this vector over here, okay, so this is nothing but vector A plus B. For subtraction vector B, we have to take negative vector of that vector. So we know that for negative vector, magnitude remains same, but direction is opposite. So this will be the vector minus B. So now add vector A and vector minus B by triangle law. So we get vector A minus B. So in this way, we can subtract two vectors. Okay. Now, if you take vector B minus A, the vector will be different. Okay. So vector A minus B is not equal to vector B minus A. Okay. So in this way, we can study laws of vector addition and subtraction. Now we are moving to next point, multiplication of vectors. If we multiply two vectors by multiplication of two vectors, if we get resultant quantity as scalar, then their multiplication is scalar or dot product. And if we multiply two vectors and we get resultant quantity as a vector, then such product is cross product. Okay, So first of all, we are going to study scalar product, and in next video we are going to study vector product. Okay, so first of all, scalar product or dot product. So to study scalar product or a dot product, first of all, definition. If we have two vectors, vector A and vector B, then how can scalar product or dot product of these two vectors is defined? Take magnitude of first vector, which is A, take magnitude of second vector, which is B, and take cosine of angle between these two vectors. Okay, so how can we define scalar or dot product? Magnitude of first vector, magnitude of, it is multiplication of magnitude of first vector, magnitude of second vector, and cosine of angle between them. In this way we can define dot product. Okay, the next characteristics of dot product. First characteristics, if two vectors are parallel to each other. If vector A is parallel to vector B, okay, then parallel means like this. Suppose this is vector A, this is vector B. These are two like vectors. In that case, angle between vector A and vector B is 0 degree. Why? You can put vector A like this, and you know that they are directed in the same direction. That's why their angle is 0. Okay. So then vector A dot B is equal to, here A into B into cosine of 0, and cosine of 0 is 1. So their dot product is simply multiplication of magnitude of first vector and magnitude of second vector. Remember, magnitude of this vector is a scalar quantity, magnitude of this vector is a scalar quantity, which is length of that vector. So here we get scalar, here these are two vectors. Okay. Second characteristics, if vector A is anti-parallel to vector B. What is mean by anti-parallel? Suppose vector A and B have opposite direction, unlike vectors. Okay. So in that case, if you take vector A like this, then you know that angle between them is 180 degree or pi radian. So in that case, their dot product is, what will be their dot product? Vector A dot B is equal to, again, magnitude of A, magnitude of B, and cosine of 180 or cosine of pi, which is minus 1. So A dot B becomes minus AB. Okay, this is the second characteristic. Third one, if vector A and B are perpendicular to each other, then again, if these two vectors are perpendicular, then we know that angle between them is 90 degree or pi by 2 radian. So in that case, their dot product is A into B into cos of 90, and cos of 90 is 0. So here then their dot product is 0. Okay. Now next property, if two vectors are identical. Okay, what is mean by identical vectors? Identical vectors means vector A dotted with vector A. If you take dot product of this vector with itself, in that case, angle between same vectors is again 0 degree, and magnitude of this vector is a, magnitude of this is a, and cos of 0 is 1. So a dot a becomes a square. Okay. So again, next property for unit vectors. Okay, we know that I cap is the unit vector along x-axis. Suppose you take I cap dot I cap. So these are two identical vectors. So we know that this is equal to magnitude of this vector, and magnitude of unit vector is 1. So 1 and magnitude of this vector is 1. So here we get 1 square, which is 1. Similarly for j cap dotted with j cap, similarly for k cap dotted with k cap. Okay. Now if you take dot product of I cap with j cap. Okay. If you take dot product of I cap with j cap, again this is along x axis, this is along y axis, and we know that x axis and y axis are perpendicular to each other, so angle between them is 0, sorry, 90 degree. So in that case, magnitude of this is 1, magnitude of this is 1, and cos of 90, which is 0, which means I cap dotted with j cap is 0. Similarly, I cap dotted with k cap, j cap dotted with k cap is 0. Okay. So in this way, these are the characteristics of dot product. Now we are moving to next section, which is dot product in terms of components of vectors. Now in terms of components, which means suppose we have two vectors which can be represented like this, and another vector which is like this, and you have to take dot product of these two vectors, vector a dot b. Okay, these are the rectangular components of these two vectors. So how can their dot product can be found? First of all, you have to take dot product of this vector with this. If you take dot product of I cap with I cap, which is 1, so first term is multiplication of just ax bx, because I cap dotted with I cap is 1. In the next term, I cap dotted with j cap, we know that I cap dotted with j cap is 0. Again, I cap dotted with k cap, which is also 0. So next term, if you take j cap dotted with I cap, 0, j cap dotted with j cap, 1. So next term is ay into by plus j cap dotted with k cap is also 0, k cap dotted with I cap 0, k cap dotted with j cap 0, and this term is 1. So az bz. So in this way, we can take dot product in terms of their component. We have to multiply x component of these two vectors, y component and z component, and add these three components. Okay. So in this way, you can take dot product of two vectors. Now, laws of dot product. First law is that vector A dot B is nothing but vector B dot A. We know that vector A dot B is a scalar quantity. This is again scalar quantity. If you take vector B dot A, then what we will get? Bx Ax, By Ay, and Bz Az. So again, these are the two scalar quantities, and ax bx is nothing but which is same as bx ax. Okay, why? 4 into 5 and 5 into 4, because these two 4 and 5 are scalar quantities. Okay, so that's why we get a dot b which is same as b dot a. Second, dot product is associative, which means vector a dotted with vector b plus c is equal to vector a dotted with b plus vector a dotted with vector c. Okay, third property, for scalar m. Okay, suppose m is any scalar, then m multiply by that dot product is nothing but you can multiply with m to first vector, or you can multiply m to second vector. That scalar must be multiplied to either of these two vectors. You can multiply to this vector or this vector. Do not multiply with this m to this vector and this vector. That will become m square. Okay, if you take m square over here, then you can take like this. Okay, so these are the laws of dot product. Okay, now very last section of this dot product, which is physical significance of dot product, and before that, examples of dot product which occur in physics. So what are the examples? So we know that work done by applied force can be obtained by dot product of external applied force and their displacement. Okay, if that object does not move by our external force, which means we are applying force to this board and that board is remains over here, which is as it is, so in that case displacement is 0 and work done will be 0. If applied force and displacement have perpendicular direction, okay, which means we are applying force like this and that object is moving like this, then again we know that for perpendicular case work done is 0. Okay, power, which is dot product of force and velocity of object. Then flux is dot product of b dot a. A is the area vector, okay, from which we are going to find out flux. B is magnetic field induction. Okay, so these are the examples of dot product which occur in physics. Okay, so physical significance of dot product we will see in our next video. Okay, so here we stop our lecture.